Fantastic acts at this year's Fringe World, but this one jumped off the page at me. So when it was offered a conversation with Kirk Smith, I gladly accepted. Kirk's show is A Comedian's Guide to Autism, Rice Krispies with Ketchup, which I believe, Kirk, welcome first of all.
Thanks so much for having me.
That's the title of your book as well?
That is. I wrote a best-selling book in the States. It's a little small market out there, but we have a book about autism, a humor book about autism, yeah.
I'll ask you about that in just a little while, but first of all, welcome to Perth.
Thank you so much.
It's a long way from home. How did you cope with the travel?
I came the long way like an idiot through Abu Dhabi for some reason because as an American, we're not good at geography. So I saw it on the map, and that was a mix-up with the visa, so by the time I got it, I came the long way. It's far. It's worth it, though. It's been great so far.
We've been talking this afternoon so far, just quickly, two things. One of them loosely, lost in translation. Do you have to change your show at all just because we have different ways of expressing things or maybe a slightly different sense of humour, say, than back home?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So my first show was Friday night, not my own personal show, but Arj Bark was a friend of mine. I was hanging out, so I had to translate. What did I translate? I translated Forever 21 as a show. I translated that to Supre. I translated. You have to change the little idioms but it was good overall. I think it was good. We're separated by a common language.
And Kirk, I've just been asking everyone as well if you have an area of specialty that is going to save your life. If someone, you've got a gun to your head and you got 10 questions about any particular topic, what's the topic that you choose?
My own personal life. You can ask me anything about Kirk Smith, and I'm pretty much in the know. I don't want to brag. But I'm basically an expert. I remember my first kiss. I remember the first girl I held hands with. I remember just about everything. My first basket. Yeah, I'm a basketball junkie. Yeah, I remember it all.
First kiss?
First kiss. Ooh, I'm going to out this girl, Hillary Sprague. Hillary Sprague, a lovely lady, yes. I was in boarding school in Ecuador, and that was she broke my heart a few times.
Sorry, you're in boarding school in Ecuador?
Yeah, my parents are missionaries. I grew up in Ecuador. Yeah, Ecuador, El Salvador, and Costa Rica.
Wow.
And then in the States, I lived in New York. When I lived in New York, I lived in the Bronx. You guys heard of the Bronx here? Yeah. And my buddy was like, "You're not scared to live in the Bronx?" And then I'd explain, "Listen, man, I grew up in the 80s in El Salvador," which is like growing up now in El Salvador.
So the Bronx was a breeze.
The Bronx is tough compared to El Salvador.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we were El Salvador in the 80s, and then we went to Ecuador, yeah. So it was a little bit different life, yeah.
I guess with the 10 questions about yourself, very difficult for someone to disprove your answers as well.
That's exactly right. Google Hillary Sprague, I dare you.
Maybe a few people will. Your show, Kirk,
yes,
Comedian's Guide to Autism, Rice Krispies with Ketchup. So you have some personal experience in this area?
Yeah, I have two kids. I have a 17-year-old and 18-year-old. I got married when I was 10. That joke only works if you can see how young I look. But yeah, and my 17-year-old is severely autistic, and so it's one of the main components of my act. I'm a touring comedian in the States, and so it's accessible to everybody. You don't have to have an autistic kid to get it. But I talk about it a lot. I feel like this is what stand-up is for, to address the tough issues, to talk honestly and openly. It's not something to be embarrassed about or ashamed about. You talk about your life.
What proportion, I mean, not that you're taking down a tally or anything, but it is a large proportion of your audiences that have some sort of connection with autism? Do you find?
Yes and no. I do a lot of charity work in the States, so when it's a charity event, then I do a lot of autism. But if it's just an average crowd, I'll mix it up about half and half, because if they don't laugh, this isn't a speech. They have to laugh. So there's a lot of just dating jokes or marriage jokes or just about being a human being mixed in there.
How old was your son when you realized something was wrong?
Yeah, about 2.5. About 2.5. And to be honest, I had never heard of autism. We don't have any history of any sort of mental illness or neurodevelopmental disorders in my family, so it was something I had to educate myself about. And then that's what the book is about. The book is about, it's a series of short stories that's encouraging, that would have helped me when I was a young father to just be like, okay, your life's not over. It's not a tragedy. Just things are changed now, and here's some stories that'll help you along the way. It's just funny and encouraging.
I would imagine, I've got 3 daughters, but I would imagine for those parents in the audience who are dealing with autism with their kids, for them to come along, first of all, to get a night out, because it'd be very exhausting. We know parenthood is exhausting. To get a night out and hearing someone else relate stories which you can empathise with must be really nice.
Yeah, we had some people last night. We sold out, and there's people afterwards crying and hugging and signing books, and it's really. I feel like sometimes as a society we back away and lean away from tough issues and don't really address it as if somehow that makes it better. Whereas I feel like the opposite. I feel like autism is like a bully that beats me up every day, and the fact that we can get together and laugh at the situation and laugh at what life is takes a little of the sting out of it. And to know, for the parents to know they're not alone. There's a lot of us going through this.
Kirk, this is a horribly broad question.
Yeah, what do you got?
How does it change dealing with, say, a toddler with autism up to then the challenges of a teenager with autism? How do things change over the years?
Well, physical size is a big thing. You know, my son is bigger than me, and for your radio audience, you can't see, but my son's not built like me. He's built more like a man, and I'm built more like a Japanese woman. I mean, I'm thin and frail, not polite and differential. But so you have those challenges where, when you have a son, you hope that he's built like a Viking, and then you find out he's severely autistic, and you hope he's built like an IKEA worker. Like they're both Swedish, but one's into pillows and one's into pillaging. So the challenges as he becomes bigger become much more real, and so. Yeah, my son's bigger than me. I'm about 6'2", 190, and he's about 6'2", 240. So those are the big challenges. And it's common with kids with autism that they have what's called tactile issues. So they want to take their clothes off because they feel their clothes. So they like to be naked. Not a big deal when you're 2. When you're 22, that's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, I remember one time, he just likes to be naked a lot. I remember one time in a store, my son was having a meltdown, and this guy was like, hey, you need to control your kid. I was like, listen, he's autistic. And the guy's like, how am I supposed to know that? I'm like, he's naked. And the guy was like, this is Kmart. So you can't always know. That's an American joke that didn't translate. I apologize. In America, Kmart, never mind. We'll edit that part out.
Okay, no problem. What's your son's... I mean, he knows that it's a big part of your life, talking about it. And has he come along and heard you present?
My son is on the severe end, so I always say when you meet one kid with autism, you've met one kid with autism, because it's a very wide spectrum. There's, you know, people postulate that Bill Gates might be on the spectrum, or Albert Einstein, and then there's also on the severe end, we call it, or where my son says about 6 things, and so. Comedy's not something that's in his vocabulary. He doesn't come out to shows, and he's more of a fan of the Wiggles, you guys' export to America. Thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
He's a big fan of the Wiggles intro song.
Which one's that one? You're going to have to sing it.
I'm not going to sing it on air. That's not one of my things. It's for my writer.
All right. Do you have time to look around Perth? What are your initial impressions?
Perth's
what are your
beautiful.
thoughts? Yeah?
Perth's beautiful. Yeah, it's a funny, to me, as an idiot outsider, it's like a funny mix between like Canadian, because it's part of the Commonwealth, right? And then like the California West Coast. It's like an unusual, you've still got the Queen on your coins, but they're surfing. It's very... Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's great. It's really great, and the weather's cooperating. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, do you get a chance to look around, or you're pretty busy
right after
doing
this interview? I'm going down to a beach called Mulberry. Oh boy,
Mullaloo, Scarborough,
and then there's another one called. Oh brother. I'm going to the beach.
Going to the beach.
I hear there's sand and water. It's going to be great.
Kirk, well, it's been lovely to speak with you. I have to ask you, and this will be the millionth time you've told the story, the Rice Krispies with ketchup. It's the name of your book. It's your signature anecdote, so let's hear it.
Basically, it's more of a, in the book I talk about, I don't want to spoil it too much, but basically, Rice Krispies with ketchup is his favorite meal. A lot of kids with autism like ketchup, and then they like the texture of the Rice Krispies, so together they really like it. And it's basically a metaphor for life, that sometimes things that are unexpected and you don't plan on and sound weird can be delightful, fun, and an adventure. And so just because your life didn't turn out exactly how you planned it doesn't mean it's over, doesn't mean it's a tragedy. It means you've got new and exciting things coming.
And clearly you've tried it as well.
I've tried it.
Okay.
It's good. It tastes exactly like it sounds, like Rice Krispies with ketchup.
Okay, thanks so much. Welcome to Perth. I hope you have a great time. And you've been very, very kind. You've got a couple of... last night was a sellout, but you do have you do have some tickets for tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got 2 for tonight, 2 for tomorrow. And, I think the weekend is going to be quite full, but as of right now, there's tickets, so
all right.
If you're interested.
If you're keen to get along, go to fringeworld.com.au. Also, limited tickets so you can chance your arm, available at the door, but we're going to give away 4. 2 for tonight and 2 for tomorrow night. Right. So stay listening through the afternoon, and I'll give you an opportunity to win those. Kirk, thank you so much. Have a great time.
For having me. Thank you, sir.
There's Kirk Smith. His show at Perth Fringe World, A Comedian's Guide to Autism, Rice Krispies with Ketchup. That's also the book that he has written, and we're very thankful that he's found the time to join us.